The series opens with a little girl lost in a town fire. She ultimately gets consumed by it and disappears into thin air. Present day, and Mikami Satori, a content 37-year-old, goes for a walk. He runs into Tamura, who introduces him to Miho. He teases her before they head out to eat. Just then, a hooded man guns for Tamura's life. Mikami pushes Tamura out of harm's way and gets stabbed instead. As he bleeds out, he mysteriously gains skill after skill to make sure his new life does not end like his first one. Satori opens his eyes, still confused as to his new location and why he cannot speak up. It takes him a few minutes, but he discovers it is all because he is a slime. The voice in his head seems to know everything, and so Satori begins to question it about his skills. After finding out he can store and borrow the effects of whatever he ingests, Satori begins to gobble up everything that seems useful in the cave. He crashes into a barrier that deals him 10% damage despite his pain nullification skill. After he regenerates, he can only hear the voice of a beast, but having no eyes or mouth, he really cannot understand how big it is. The beast is amused and helps him activate his magic sense skill. Satori can now see it as a dragon, but he has already promised to come visit often. The storm dragon goes on to narrate how he ended up being trapped by the hero with divine blessing. Satori extends a hand of friendship to the storm dragon. The storm dragon opens up about having 100 years left to live, and Satori wants to help. He attempts to use the predator skill to consume the unlimited imprisonment, but fails. He tries again, this time by swallowing both the dragon and the unlimited imprisonment. They name each other. Satori names the dragon Tempest, and it in turn names him Rimuru, as he will be called in his new life. He begins to analyze the unlimited prison after ingesting it. Minister Baron Veriard of the Blummen Kingdom talks with the Guildmaster Fuse about the disappearance of the Storm Dragon and the implication to the kingdom. Fuse promises to personally inspect it. Rimuru continues to level up. He blasts a huge serpent in one strike and takes his ability for himself. He then uses its abilities to take down another monster. He beats a giant bat and uses its ultrasonic wave ability to enable his speech. After weeks of wandering the cave, Rimuru finally arrives at the entrance. He is in luck as 3 humans open the door from the outside. He waits until they pass him and sneaks out the front. Armed goblins come running towards Rimuru, but they are scared and ask him what he wants. Rimuru tries to reply, but the effect of the ultrasonic wave proves too much. The goblins acknowledge Rimuru's power and plead with him to follow them home. He does. They then explain that monsters are on the rise since Veldora disappeared and his aura is unmistakable. They beg Rimuru to take care of their direwolf situation and offer their loyalty in return for his help. Rimuru heals all the wounded goblins with the potion he had previously made and instructs them to build a fence. The direwolves attack. They underestimate Rimuru at their own risk. He uses steel shreds to cut down the first attackers. The alpha gets furious and charges towards Rimuru. Unshaken, Rimuru traps him with sticky thread and beheads him before the whole pack. The rest of the pack is unyielding, but Rimuru uses Predator to ingest the alpha and then activates the menace skill. They yield after that. Rimuru is left to decide what to do with the mixed group. He splits them into teams of 2s, a wolf and a goblin, and delegates duties to them. He's stumped when he tries to call on them, but he has no name to use, and so Rimuru begins to name the group one after the other. He passes out for 3 days due to low magical levels. He wakes up to meet unbelievable changes in the goblins he had named. Him naming them raised the ranks and caused them to evolve. Rimuru sets the rules for the camps to follow and appoints Rigard as Goblin Lord. The village has a problem with housing and clothing, and Rigard mentions the dwarves. Rimuru sets out with a small party to meet with the dwarves. Rimuru and his party head to Dworgen. They stop intermittently to sleep, eat, and refresh. Rimuru finds out there are elves in Dworgen, and he is all the more excited to visit. They stop a few ways before the city gates, and Rimuru continues with only Gupta on foot. They are harassed by 2 humans, but Rimuru mimics an evolved Tempest Wolf. Their attacks become useless against him. He uses the menace skill to blow all of them away. The kingdom's security quickly apprehends Rimuru and Gupta, caging Rimuru in a barrel. Before Kaido can confirm the release, another guard comes in shouting that an Armosaurus attacked their brethren in the mine. Kaido is worried, but not for long. Rimuru simply escapes the barrel and fills it with his special healing potion. Having no time to question its potency, Kaido shoulders the barrel and heads straight to the mine. Rimuru doesn't leave his cell, despite how easy it is to, and after a while, Kaido and the dwarves come to pay him gratitude for the potion. The chief releases them and treats Rimuru to dinner. They talk and he agrees to introduce Rimuru to a skilled blacksmith. The blacksmith is Chief Kaido's brother, Kaijin. Rimuru invites him back to his village, but Kaijin says he's backed up with Minister Vesta's work. He'd been asked to make 20 longswords before week's end, and he'd made just one. Rimuru finds out that Kaijin is supposed to make the swords with magic ore, and simply gives him a cluster of magicules from the cave in Jura Forest. Kaijin is impressed by the quality and asks what he can do for Rimuru. Rimuru requests Kaijin, and his skilled artisans follow him back to his village and teach the villagers their craft. They agree, but an impatient Rimuru copies the only longsword Kaijin already made and instantly makes 20 copies with the help of his great sage skill. Because of Rimuru, Kaijin makes his delivery right on time. He in turn takes Rimuru to the bar as a thank you. The sight of elves at the bar sends Rimuru blushing. They pick him up and press him against their chests, and he's all the more flustered. Kaijin, his companions, and Rimuru gets comfortable in the bar while an elf shows Rimuru his soulmate via a crystal ball. Minister Vesta invades their good cheer and tries to mock Kaijin. He's disappointed when he finds out that Kaijin already delivered his impossible other with time to spare. The minister then turns his detestation into Rimuru and pours fruit wine all over the slime. Rimuru remains calm, but Kaijin punches the minister once in the face, then again for good measure. Kaido is made to arrest his own brother and the rest of the gang for insubordination. They're placed in Rimuru's old cell. They meet Gobta, still sleeping, but they ignore him. Kaijin goes on to explain his relationship with Minister Vesta before agreeing to flee the country with Rimuru. They're put on trial, and Gazel Duargo, the Hero King, is the presiding monarch. Kaijin's lawyer betrays them for Vesta's money, and lies against them before the king. Before their harsh judgment of hard labor is finalized, the king asks Kaijin if he would like to rejoin his ranks. Kaijin refuses him, saying his loyalties now lie with another master. The king exiles Kaijin and his companions immediately after. The king faces Minister Vesta after Rimuru and Kaijin are escorted out. He tells them never to show his face before him again. Gazel Duargo sends an elf to keep tabs on Rimuru and report back to the crown. The three humans that open the cave doors in the forest of Jura, the fighter, the thief, and the sorcerer, report back to Guildmaster Fuse about Veldora's disappearance. He gives them only 3 days to rest before they go back to the great forest of Jura to continue investigating. After they leave his office, they complain along the way and are heard by a masked lady. That's how Eren, Guido, and Kaval meet Shizu. It's now a few weeks since the exile, and the dwarf brothers are doing well to teach their various crafts to the indigenous of the village. Rimuru is left with no choice but to take in another 500 goblins. He names all of them before passing out for 3 days to recuperate. Gopta masters how to summon a Tempest Wolf from his shadow, and as Rimuru watches him go about it, Rigard comes running. He reports the humans roaming the forest close to the village. The 4 humans run for their lives as giant ants chase after them, all except Shizu. Shizu unsheathes her flaming sword and slays all the ants, leaving a trail of burning corpses in her trail. Rimuru saves her from an ant that somehow survives, and in the course of this, he sends her mask flying off her face. Rimuru immediately notices that she's the one the elf had shown him to be his soulmate. He takes all 4 of them back to the village and treats them to some food. Eren, Kaval, and Guido fill Rimuru in on all of Fuse's intentions. Shizu excuses herself and goes to watch the sunset. Rimuru joins her. As they talk, they both find out they're from Japan, one a reincarnation, the other a summon. Rimuru tries to lighten the mood and shows her memories of his past life via skill. We find out that the girl consumed by fire in the first episode is, in fact, Shizu. She's bestowed with the fire spirit Elphys. Thank you for tuning in to our anime recap channel. Don't forget to subscribe and hit the notification bell to stay updated on our latest episodes. See you next time.